Hey, it's Gary Bernier, Whiskey Sommelier, and I'm here with my good buddy, business partner, and fellow Whiskey Sommelier, Stephen Semple. And from the shelves behind us, he's picked out the J.P. Wiser's Red Letter. Now, one of the things that's kind of special about the Red Letter is it's only available from J.P. Wiser's themselves. If you happen to live in Ontario, you can actually get it shipped to your door thanks to the changes in our regulations. So you just go to J.P. Wiser's and you can pick up the Red Letter. I first got to test this and try this out when I was doing a master class with Dr. Don Livermore, who's the master blender at J.P. Wiser's, and this was one of the 5 things that we tried, and I liked it so much, well, I had to have it. So Steve picked it out today. So Steve, what are you picking up on the nose from this one? You're the rye guy.
Well, before we do anything, you said you liked me. I want to show people this pour. I guess doesn't like me that much. Oh, that's better. I'm feeling the love now.
Okay.
Feeling the love now.
All right.
Okay. Now, oh, yeah. Well, you know, it's definitely a rye.
Yeah, you know it's rye right away.
You know it's a rye right away. You get the spice and whatnot of it being a rye right out of the gate. But you know what's interesting about it is I find a lot of ryes. There's kind of just there's the rye and nothing more. There's a little bit of, like, it's almost like you can smell a little bit of grass or hay.
Yeah.
In just in addition to that, just spicy sweet rye, right?
Yeah, yeah, and after, you pick up some of that grainy grassy hay, and then you get a little bit of that caramel flavor underneath.
Yeah, there's definitely a little bit more going on than what would be typical for a rye. All right. Okay, so first sip, you're definitely, so for me, ryes I can always pick out because there's a specific spot on my tongue that a rye always hits.
Right.
So right out of the gate, it's definitely rye. But what surprises me on this one is there's a little bit of a sweetness to it that you often don't get with rye. Like, actually, on first sip, if I was blind tasting this, I would nail this as a high rye bourbon, not as a rye.
There you go.
On the first sip.
Yeah. Yeah, and the first sip, the reason he's saying that is it's soft on the tongue. It doesn't bite you as hard as the Scotch does on the first sip.
Right.
I let it sit in there quite a while and was quite comfortable with it. But like you, I pick up it's a rye instantly. But then you go, oh, there's more here. This is exciting. This is fun.
So on the nose, definitely rye, with some more depth to it than you would typically get with a rye. On the first sip, because of the sweetness, if I was blind tasting, I would go, well, maybe this is a high rye bourbon, although the nose would drive me back to rye. On the second sip, there's definitely, you're starting to get some, like, almost like a coating, like it's coating the tongue more than a rye typically would.
Yeah, it becomes, on the second and third, it gets that, I'm not going to say oily, but it does leave that coating on your tongue, and it does give you the Canadian hug. It gives you that little bit of the seatbelt around here. And what's interesting is you only get to mess around with about 9% other.
Right.
Right? And so this is what makes Dr. Don a master blender is, okay, yeah, you've got rye and it's been in a barrel and you've aged it, but then you get to blend in some extra stuff into that 9%. And it's amazing what he can do with that.
Yeah, well, and the other thing that's interesting about rye, so I learned this when I was in Kelowna recently, and I walked into a real boutique little distillery in Kelowna, and I got talking to the master distiller there. And while rye's great in Canada because rye's easy to grow,
right,
it's actually really hard to distill.
Yes.
It's a hard grain to really break down and get those sugars released.
Correct.
And this is one of the things that makes it such a challenge distilling it.
Yeah.
But this is delightful. This is very, very nice.
Yeah, you can tell why it ended up in the collection after being out of us whiskey somms, if you watched any other videos, you met Morning and you met Dave. Steve really likes the rye, so I was not surprised when he picked this one out to give it a try.
Yeah, but this has got a lot more character because again, there's the coating on ryes will tend to hit in one spot. There's more of a coating of the tongue. It's almost like a smooth caramel spread, right? Like it almost has got that type of, because as you said, it's not oily. It's more of like just this nice coating that has this little bit of a sweetness to it, along with this, and then a heavy spice. So you've got a little bit of sweet and spice.
Yeah, that's the rye kicking in, giving us that spice.
I'm not picking up any. It's funny. I'm not picking up. There's a little bit of vanilla that you'd be getting from the barrel, but I'm not picking up like any smoke or toasting or anything like that. Just maybe just a little hint of vanilla.
No, not on this one.
Yeah.
Not on this one.
But it's very nice.
The smoke comes in this one.
Okay.
Right. So this is another Dr. Don concoction. And I've done, this is the one I did with Teresa. This is the Lot 40, also out of the J.P. Weiser's distillery. But this is done in the, let's call them Islay bottle, smoked, right, highly peated barrels. That's what I was trying to get to. Is this one was done with the peat. So this one as a rye gives you smoke.
Right.
Because of the extra barreling.
So I would say on this one, if you like bourbons, you would probably like this.
Or a high rye bourbon.
Or a high rye bourbon, yeah. You would probably, if you like a high rye bourbon, you would definitely like this.
Yeah. And if you just want something pretty to put on your shelf,
it's a beautiful bottle.
It's a beautiful bottle with a great label.
And it's really nice, the engraving that they've done in the wood on the top here. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful bottle. Looks really, really nice. And lovely color. Like that's one of the things we didn't really talk about, is a very gold color.
Yeah.
Like it's like a real straw gold. It's a beautiful, beautiful looking liquid.
Yeah. Well, thanks, Dr. Don, for making us this beautiful concoction. We enjoy it much. See you soon.
See ya.